you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Welcome to Healing is Freedom podcast. I am your host, Vanita Queen Abrams. Episode 17. Can you believe it? I remember back when we were just doing episode 1. We're thriving and it's because of you. And I thank you all that tune in to like, subscribe, and share Healing is Freedom podcast. Okay, now that we got that shameless pub out the way, I would like to introduce to you my guests for this evening. Before I do, this title for episode 17 is Transforming Grief into Freedom. Y'all think about that for a second. Grief into freedom. A lot of us are still grieving. I remember when my grandmother passed away, and I got so mad at God. When I say mad, I didn't think it was grief. I was just angry because he took the only someone in the world at the time I felt loved me away. And I was angry at the church. I was angry at the family. I was just angry at everyone. And it went on for a long time. I still didn't know that the word for what I was going through was grief. I just called it angry. And I was mad until one day I rolled over, and this is the truth, you guys. I rolled over on a scripture. I don't remember what the scripture was, but it meant that everyone here is only here on borrowed time. No one is here forever, you know. And I was like, the nerve of me to try to hold on to one of God's children, huh? And I had it for 91 years. But needless to say, I found out it was grief because I went into counseling, and all that to say, I want to introduce my sister in Christ, someone that I truly, truly love, and you all will see why we're connected, heart to heart connected. Dr. Erie Crawford. Give it up for Dr. Erie Crawford, you guys. Welcome to Healing is Freedom podcast.
Hello. Thank you for having me this evening.
Hey, we got the message.
We got the message.
Brown on burgundy.
That's it. Connected at the heart.
Connected at the heart. So, Erie, tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started.
Well, as you stated, I am Dr. Erie Crawford. I am a licensed social worker and a business psychologist with 25 years worth of experience of helping individuals through the social work field. I am a mother.
Twins, right?
Twins.
Come on now.
I am a mentor for young social workers, to kind of help them to pave their way in the field. I am an author. I penned the book, The Other Side of Midnight, as a way to help me in my healing as I was moving forward from the loss of my husband to suicide, as well as wanting to help others. So I am a widow. And so I sit here before you today as someone who have went through the grief journey and who continues to go down that road, because it's a continuous process of healing, and a road that you will never pretty much stop traveling.
And let me say, by the way, you don't look like nothing. I know that's a double negative, but we talking like sister to sister. You look amazing, Erie. And I just want to tell you, God is truly shining his light on you. You all, she goes to my church, Oakdale Covenant Church, and she's our Barbie doll, okay? Everybody just love her. She give the bestest hugs in the world. And I just want to say, I thank God for you're an angel. And I know we'll go into why we're connected to the heart a little later. But I just want to tell you that I know for a fact that everything happens for a reason and a season. And grief, it pops up on people. When you lose a loved one, it's never, hey, by the way, you're about to lose this person. It never happens that way. You know, and even especially with losing someone through suicide, it just never happens that way. And this is why I know there is a God. Mm-hmm. You know, and on The Color Purple, there is a God. Yes. There is a God, because who in the world can get through when you lose someone you love, right? Yeah. Whew. So I have a question for you. Oh, this is her book. I want to say, and I bought it. I was there at her book signing. The Other Side of Midnight: A Journey to Healing Spouses and Loved Ones Affected by suicide. And we're going to get more into that. I'm going to ask, so think about the page I'm going to ask you to read, okay? That might can heal someone that's going through what it is that you've been through and still is, as you say, it's still a journey. Um, can you share your personal journey with grief? Let's get that out the way and how it first showed up in your life.
Um, I mean, grief showed up for me at an early age. You know, when I lost my mom, I was like 21 years old. And so,
Delicate age.
yes, and so that was my first experience with losing someone that supposed to be here, right? And so um, that was a challenge for my siblings and I because, like you say, we were young. You know, I'm 21, and then we had younger siblings, and so it was a challenging time to say the least with trying to overcome that grief. And so um, and then of course I lost my grandmother who pretty much raised me. And so I share those two experiences to say that when I lost my husband in 2019, grief wasn't new to me, right? It was an experience that I had had by losing other loved ones. And so it was um, it was different because of the type of loss that it was, and not knowing um, that you can lose someone in such a way that there was nothing wrong with them, right? When you don't see a physical illness. And so we get comfortable, or we know when someone have a physical illness, that's you can see that.
Right.
And so we can kind of be understanding to the type of loss that we can see. Not that it's easy, but you could be understanding to the loss that you can see versus that unexpected loss. And so I often tell people, he passed away in 2019. And so shortly after, we went into a pandemic, and I was like, I wasn't really affected by the pandemic because I had a tsunami to hit my house in 2019. So the pandemic was just one of those things that was just an add-on to the grief and the experience that I had just had. And so in 2019, and losing um, my husband the way that I did, it was just one of those things of, wow, Lord, like you said, I go to your church with you. And so it was like, I'm Erie. How you not gonna tell me, right? And it's like, I thought I was your girl. So it was, it was one of those things where I felt like I should have had warning signs or whatever. And I did have the warning signs, right? I knew he struggled with depression. I knew he had these things that was present, but I wasn't ready for what happened. I knew something would happen, right? I knew something would happen because of where he was at in that in his life in that moment, but I wasn't expecting that to happen. So I don't know if that makes sense to you. It's like I knew something was gonna happen.
That intuition, that woman's intuition.
But I just didn't know
to that extreme, to that magnitude.
Yes.
And I don't think any of us did. That I guess this is a great time to share the heart connection. So I'm divorced now, but when I got married, Reverend Crawford is um, who married me, and I'll never forget him the day before. My ex-husband don't know about this, but I'm about to tell you. The day before he came to the walkthrough, you walk through the marriage. The day before he came through, and I was just having a hell of time, and he saw it all on my face. And Pastor Reverend Crawford came in. He said, "Listen," he said, "Are you sure you want to do this, Sister Queen? Because I'm here for you. Okay, we can walk and leave all this. You ain't got to go through. Are you sure you want to marry this dude? Because if not, hey." I said, "No, I'm good." He said, he went out the door, came back. He said, "Are you sure?" And I looked at him. He said, "Oh, okay. All right. I'll see you tomorrow." I said, "All right," gave me a hug and walked away. And he was such like the energy of just life and I mean, I'll never forget when I walked through the church and I hit on this African garb, and while he was up there preaching, he said, "All right, Sister Queen is walking through it," and I'm like, "Oh my God," you know. But that's just me. I like spotlights. So I said, "Okay, thank you." But all of that to say, he even told my he counseled my ex husband and I. And he told him something. And this I'm saying these different things because it goes back to what you said. No one would have ever thought this. He said before the two of us, he said, "You have to date your wife over and over again." That's what Reverend Crawford said. He said, "Because you're going to meet a new woman every season." He said, "I love my wife." Talked about you like a, no, not like a dog, like an angel. He said, "Every year I date a brand new woman. If I got to send them, he said Nordstrom's. I think he said Nordstrom. He didn't say no little Ricky Dix. He said, I have to date her, and I do that, and I enjoy it." And I looked over at my ex-husband to see, you see what he's, I remember saying that, and I used it throughout my whole entire marriage. So when we came back from our honeymoon and heard that, it just devastated me. I did. And when I saw you in church, I looked at you. I could not stop looking at you because I could not understand, to save my life, how you were standing up there in the choir stand. When I say, and I will hug, I don't know if you ever remember that first hug I gave you, because they wouldn't let me. The Barbie doll was covered. Okay, she had bulldogs all around her. Could nobody call her? Whatever. Could nobody talk to her? And I just had to connect because that was the last person that connected me with the man that I loved at the time and still do. But it devastated me. But you have an energy, the energy from within. Oh my Jesus. So just elaborate on what at that moment, how did you, first of all, how did you deal with that at that time, and how did you get to where you are now? Were you able to talk
Well, for me, when, as I stated in the book, when I was writing the book, and I had to go through my emotions, and I wrote in the book how God didn't even allow me a long period to sit in my grief, right? And so I'm sitting there, and it had to probably be maybe 2 or 3 weeks out from his passing. And he says, "Get up and go to church." I say, "Who?" He say, "You." I say, "Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do that, Lord. I'm trying to, I'm in the process of grieving. I'm grieving my buddy like that. And I'm like, I'm grieving my friend, my best friend." And he said, "Just like you can go in that church and you can praise me when things are going good, I need you to go in there with that same energy and show the people the type of guy that I am, that I can also bring you through your grief on the other side of it." And I was like, okay. So I called a friend, said, "I want to go to church." It's like, "You sure?" I say, "Yes, I'm positive." So I came. I came into Oakdale, and I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone.
Me too. I was
I
spotlighting with you.
Yeah, and I felt as if I was floating outside of my body, and all I can do was connect with the music because it was speaking and it was ministering to me at the time. And so I was able to pick myself up at that moment because of my faith in God and the relationship that I have with God, and how he, for the things that he have done in my life, and the hurdles that he have brought me over thus far, and I survived, right? I came out unscathed. And so it was one of those things of, okay, if he's telling me to do this, clearly he's going to make sure that I come out on the other side of this.
So what did it teach you about yourself? I mean, I'm sorry, because that's what life lesson did you learn about Erie Crawford at that time?
I learned that obedience to your higher source, your God, is a key component to healing. I learned that when you ignore the voice of God, it slows up your healing process. Because you're not allowing yourself to go through the process with him. And so by me allowing myself to go through the process with him, step by step, that's the light that you have seen shining through me.
So you learned that you had a supernatural light. And that's what I saw. I was sitting there, I was like, you know what? The strength that surpasses all understanding. I'll never forget the strength. That's all I kept saying. This lady is like a, I mean, the strength. Yeah. In your darkest moment of your grief, what thoughts or emotions felt the heaviest?
I can remember being in my my bedroom during the pandemic right after his passing, because you know he passed in September. We just passed 6 years. The 19th.
It was the 19th.
And so we just passed 6 years, and so you know we went into the pandemic shortly after.
So did you stay in, I'm sorry, did you stay in the house? Do you mind me saying where he passed?
No, I mean, it's in the book.
Oh, it is, okay. I know some people can write it but don't want to speak it, so I just want to respect. I know this is, okay. Can you go into, and the reason why is because some people don't know how to push through this. They said, well, that happened, but you don't understand. It really happened here. But you dealt with one of the most sensitive ways of losing someone through suicide a person can ever experience, I believe. Can you explain how it happened on that day?
Well, he was going through some things, and it was like an emotional roller coaster with him during this window of time. And so it was one of those things where I had to be very attentive to him and what was going on, because he wasn't really himself. And so this particular day, he goes to his office, and I thought he was going to do what he usually do, because, you know, y'all don't know, he had this routine every Saturday night when he went to go prepare himself for Sunday morning. He, you know, people thought I was the diva, but no, it was not me. He will go and do a fashion show in his office and the whole 9 yards or whatever. Then he study his lesson. So I'm assuming that's the usual routine when he, you know, go up the stairs for the evening. So then when I hear a thump, I'm like, okay, what was that? And I also had my, you know, I was watching my younger sister children. So kids play hard. So I'm thinking one of the kids had did something to hurt themselves. So then when I'm asking them what's going on, and it's like, that's not us, that's not us. So I was like, okay, what's going on? So I'm like, okay, James, you know. So when I go up there, I'm just assuming that because he was one of those people who he waited to the last minute to eat, right? So I'm assuming, did he just black out from hunger? That's literally the thought was in my mind. Like, did he faint from hunger? Because I know.
The thump was that hard.
The thump was that hard. But what I learned, that it wasn't a thump. It was the shot.
The gunshot.
Yeah. So in me finding him, I like to share that in that moment, I really feel like God protected me, because people don't believe me, because you can imagine what it looked like, right? After someone loses their life to suicide. I didn't see any of that. All I recall is calling 911. I was hysterical. They hung up on me a couple of times. I had to keep calling back. But the actual scene, I did not see.
Oh, you didn't go in there?
I did. But I'm saying I didn't realize. I just thought he was passed out. Like, I didn't see. And I tell people that was God preserving my mind.
So
because if I would have saw that,
yeah.
I probably
Right.
would have lost my mind. So I didn't really see what was going on. I saw it, but I didn't see it, if that makes sense. It was like these blinders, or this angel in the moment was protecting me from seeing what the tragic scene actually looked like. And so I tell people that I feel like from that moment that it happened, that God had already had me covered me, because he knew that he had something for me to do or to share and to help people. And so that's what pretty much happened. And so once I realized what happened and exit the house until to the authorities got there or whatever, excuse me, I knew for me, I know you asked about when did I decide to leave. I knew for me that I couldn't stay there. I knew for me and for my mental health and the well-being of my children. I mean, they're adults, but in that moment they become your child, right? Because it's like, that's my dad. Like, so I knew we couldn't stand at home. And so I had already made my mind up that as soon as we had his service or whatever the case may be, I'm out of there.
I know.
And so I had moved out of that home back October the 19th. I was done. And so with no regrets, but it's like, if I wanted to continue, right, on my path of healing, if I wanted to continue to be able to become whole again, I knew I couldn't exist in that home. I knew I had to get out of it. And I know some people like to stay in those spaces for memories, but it's like the memories are in your heart. They're in your mind. Right. But certain spaces, you shouldn't keep yourself there because it's not good for your mental health. And it doesn't make you good for anyone or yourself, because you become stuck. And I didn't want to be one of those people that had a shrine in my house. That, oh, you can't go in there because that's why I didn't want to live like that.
You know what, speaking of being stuck, how did the impact of grief affect your relationships? Family, friends, loved ones, or did it affect it at all?
For me, once again, we got shut down. It was in a pandemic.
Right, the pandemic.
So there, in that moment, it was like maybe from the time of his passing to like March is when I had the most interaction with people, because at that point, everyone else was concerned about
COVID.
Right. And so I couldn't be mad at people for not keeping up with me, because everybody else was in survivor mode, right? And so I really buckled down with my therapy, because I knew that I had to have some type of human contact. Now, I did have people who continued to reach out and check in on me, but those who I was the closest with, outside of my sisters, no, I lost all of them, right? And it was understandable, because I know everybody was in survivor mode.
Everybody was scared during COVID. Yeah, I lost my mom during COVID. So
I came to the service.
Right. Connected to the heart. Yeah. You know, I am going to say this, though. And I'm hoping if you're out there dealing with grief, right? Because we're talking about transforming grief into freedom. Whatever you go through in life, God has already given you an antidote to get through it.
Yes.
He knows which child can go through what. He knows who couldn't take this or that, because he created us. And in the beginning, when he finally created us, he said, okay, I'm going to put these tools in, because I'm going to use him or her to do something to help my people. Because at the end of the day, our purpose here on earth is to serve and do the will of God. And sometimes people's duty, whatever they got, like if you on the front line in the army, they might got people in the back, but the front line are the strongest soldiers. So you that strong soldier. He knew that you was gonna have to push through, and with seeing all of this, is that one of the reasons, going back just a little bit, and thank you so much for sharing that.
Oh yeah.
Because that was a lot of questions I had, and I'm like, wow, and yeah.
So we're all I've been doing interviews left and right, and so for me, the questions are important because it helps someone else.
Yeah.
And so the whole purpose is to kind of help people,
others
to
because
get
grief
them
keeps
stuck
grief put people
on
in
lockdown.
major lockdown, worse than COVID type lockdown. Is that why you became a social worker though? When your mom died at 21 and then your grandma passed away, is that one of the reasons why you pursued your doctoral degree in sociology? Is that a word? Is that a word? Okay.
um, Social work was something that I got an interest in as a little girl because of my mom's struggles. And so when I saw that they wasn't quite helping her the way that she needed the help, or they didn't help us the way we needed the help because of her struggles, I was like, I'm becoming a social worker so I can show them how to do it right. And so in that, it just have always been in me to want to help people who get in jacked up situations, right? I want to help you to make it right. I want to be a part of the solution and not the problem. So how can we make this better for you? And so, you can only do so much in the world of social work with a bachelor's. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go get a master's. So I got the master's, and then when I'm like, okay, maybe I'll get a PhD. I'm like, I don't want to get a PhD, but then he encouraged me to get the PhD
after the situation with your husband.
No.
You got that before?
No, the husband encouraged me.
Oh.
I was in the program when he passed.
Oh, okay.
And so it was one of those things where, I always had professors to tell me, don't get all your degrees in the same concentration, which is the reason why I went into business psychology, because of some things that I saw in work, and I wanted to be able to, because I'm into trying to make things better. So it's like, how can I make corporate America better? And so that's kind of like one of those things, the tools that business psychology gives you. So with being a business psychologist and being a licensed social worker, that's a threat right there. So I'm a double, triple win. So
but you needed all of that.
I needed all of that.
You know what's so deep is who helped the social work when they deal with the traumatic experience.
You need to get in counseling yourself, even as a social worker. It's like
if the doctor gets sick, the doctor
need a doctor. Yeah, and so it's kind of funny because social workers are the worst client, and they grieve harder than their clients do, because it's like you're so used to helping other people manage their pain and their grief that when it hit you, you don't really know what to do with it. And so for me,
real quick before you say, did any of your tools come to mind when all that happened? Any of them?
Yes, I knew I needed counseling. I knew that right away.
That part, period. Okay, let me call somebody.
Yeah, I'm not trying to self-diagnose, self-medicate.
Right. Put yourself on the table. Now sit down. Let's talk.
I buried him on Saturday, and I was on the couch on Monday.
Okay.
That's the tool that kicked in.
So how did it impact I just wanted to ask you, how did it impact your relationships? I know you said that COVID happened, but were you someone that wanted to stay away from people? I know COVID even pushed you away, but did you want that closer? Because some people, when they go through grief, they don't want anyone around them. Were you that person that really wanted the love and affection around you, or you really was glad that the solitude had happened with COVID?
I wanted the people around me who wanted to be around me. Now, I did have people who kept up with me. I had one friend for 6 months. She came and spent the night with me every Monday. And this was even during COVID. And so I really appreciated that, because it gave some form of normality because I would wait for her to come because she'd be coming after work and I cook dinner. And so it was like I had somebody to sit in, even though my boys was there, but it wasn't the same, right? It was like I get to talk to my girlfriend when she come over. And so I really appreciate that. And she can have the world from me because she didn't have to do that, right? She didn't have to spend every Monday with me for 6 months. And her partner being okay with her coming to spend every Monday with me for 6 months.
During COVID, don't forget.
During COVID.
But you know that's God though.
Yeah.
See, God take you through something, but he prepared a whole like army around you to make sure that somebody got your back while you heal.
Yeah.
God is so good.
Yeah.
What tools, and this is what I want you to talk about your book, what tools, practices, or people, well, you already told me about the person that helped you, but to begin your transform from pain to strength, what tools did you use other than the therapist? And I know this came years later, but can you speak on the tools that help you get to this type of strength, right? This type of beauty that you holding on to ever so effortlessly anyway. How do you get there, and what tools did you use?
Well, the book was one of the tools. The Other Side of Midnight.
Other side. Amazon.
Barnes and Noble.
Call me. I can get you some coffee. She's my sister.
Right. But so the book for me came out of a conversation with the therapist and with talking to friends and everybody, because everybody wants you to tell your story, and it's like, yeah, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to do it in a way where it seems like I'm a victim. I never feel like I'm a victim. I always want to know, how can I help to make it better?
I love that.
And so for me, I said, Lord, I can't write this book unless it's going to help others. And so this is how The Other Side of Midnight came, because it wasn't only about my healing, but how do I help to heal other people that may be going through this experience, or even any type of grief, right? You cancer, anybody that's struggling.
Divorce.
Yes. And so that was number one. I'm a huge component of self-care. You have to take care of yourself. I know we were supposed to be on lockdown. I traveled so much
during COVID.
And I'm not talking about up the street. I was in Mexico. I was in the DR. I was everywhere. But for me, that was a part of my healing. I hope no one think I'm trying to say you should go against COVID, because I had all my shots and I was wearing my mask. And
I was here.
I'm here, and I haven't had COVID. Thank you, Jesus.
Really? Wow.
I haven't. And so self-care, journaling. I was very angry. And so even though I was in therapy, my counselor was like, okay, you need something else. She said, you need the journal. I ain't doing that. That's for weak people. And so, but I was so angry that I couldn't really express it all in that hour, because it's like, dude, we talked all the time. So why couldn't you let me know? So I was just really frustrated. And so journaling really helped me. And I tell people, maybe in 2 years, I filled 20 books. That's how much writing I did. That's how much frustration that I had with getting out how ticked off I was in regards to how he left here. And then once I noticed that my journaling was just like, hey, God, what's going on? How you doing today? Type of thing. I felt like I didn't need to journal anymore. But when I feel that I can't express myself the way that I need to express myself, I go into journaling. And in my counseling, I'm bold enough to let the counselor know that's not what this is. We need to be going in this direction. And so you can help in your healing process, right? Yes, they're the counselors. Yes, they have all this insight, but you know what works for you. So I encourage you to kind of make sure that if you're sitting with someone, that you're getting what you need out of that situation versus what they want you to have. It's not it's not a problem to tell a therapist, like, no, that's not working for me. Because you have to advocate for yourself. So with therapy, a lot of self-care and journaling and the Lord and, finding my peace in the church, because I called the pastor and I said, yeah, I know you told us to shelter in place, but I need to be in the church holding on to the horns of the altar. So I got to come to church, sir. I'm sorry. I can't sit here like this. And so I was a part of the pandemic bubble at the church, and that's how I ended up on the praise team, because I'm sitting there and it's like, you're sitting here, you might as well sing. And so, but it was what I needed during my healing.
And you know what? I want to thank you for that, because I am going to share something. I am now not a friend of a person right now, because they went through a whole lot of grief, and it felt like I was their target because I was one of the calls they made on the day of. Mm-hmm. And when I say, I won't go into it all, but I pray that she hears this, that she finds some type of healing, because grief can affect your friendship. Yes. Grief can affect the way you move and operate on a daily basis. And there's no freedom in that. It's like an internal thing. It's like, I think it's a lot of regret, a lot of hurt, a lot of anger and frustration. And it's not fair to those others who's truly there to aid and help. And it really, I didn't even know, I had mixed feelings before I just denounced the friendships. Like, I can't keep allowing you to beat on me, right, and call me out my name, and I can't talk about my granddaughter. I can't talk about my son, or the thing she said was just so hurtful. And I didn't fire back, because I just went through something myself, right? So because I've gone through this divorce and I went through therapy with the divorce, I know for a fact that my emotions matter. And regardless of what you're going through, I will not be anyone's bounce up or be what do you call a thing when you punching bag? Yo, punching bag. You cannot punch on me. No one in the world anymore would ever be able to punch on me, because I'm grieving as well. But I want to transform my grief into freedom. Mm-hmm. And it is a freedom. Right now, I feel free. Yes. But you have triggers. And when you have triggers, what are some of the things that, if someone is dealing with grief right now, what are some of the things that they can do if they are triggered at that moment, at that spell moment? Like let's say you don't realize it's a trigger. What can you tell someone who has been triggered before they snap off or lose a friend?
But one thing for sure, when you're going through your grief is individual, right? And so there's no one way to tell people to grieve, but you must pay attention to yourself so that you will be able to work on yourself, and you need to know what your triggers are. And for me, I believe I shared this with you. When I find myself being triggered in some kind of way, I retreat.
Say it again. I retreat. I wanted you to say. That's what I learned. And we went to Ghana together. That was the word I brought home. But I wanted her to bring it in. Just go ahead, talk about it, Doctor.
And what I mean by retreat is not that I'm trying to not acknowledge the situation, but I know how that situation is making me feel, and I don't want that feeling. So if I don't want that feeling, I'm going to retreat, and I'm going to go process that to try to figure out, why did that just affect me in that manner? And I didn't like that feeling. And so if I don't like a feeling of something, I'm going to try to figure out how to work through that, so the next time, if that comes up again, I'll be able to manage it well and possibly not retreat. But I don't think retreating is a bad thing, because it's helping you to acknowledge a pain that have hit you, and you don't want that feeling. And so if you don't want that feeling, I'm not going to stand in it. I'm not about to argue with you. I'm not going to fight with you about it. It's like, I don't like that. And so I'm going to go and remove myself from the situation, because this trauma that this is bringing up for me, I don't want to relive it.
I don't want to relive it. And you have every right. And I got that from you. I really did.
You do.
I did. When you said retreat, I mean, see, I'm not going to psychoanalyze it. I'm done. I'm cutting the strings because I know that if it happens again, I might not operate the same way I operated the first time because now I'm already told you, hey, that hurts.
Right.
Back. You know, and that's something a lot of us out there has gone through so many different things in life. Everybody got a story. Everybody got a traumatic experience that they can talk about. But the key is how do you make sure your heart is healing? How do you make sure your life is on a freedom mode, not a victim? You said something, I'm a victim. No, I'm not victim anymore. I'm victorious.
Yes.
I'm not surviving anymore. I'm victorious. I made it through because God made sure He equipped me with everything I needed to get through. And I'm not going to let the outsiders, meaning people who understand my journey, affect me in any kind of way. Therefore, I will retreat. And I'm not going to psychoanalyze it like you. I ain't going to think about why it made me. I just don't want to get bothered with it. I'm done because when you get at an age in your life, we on the other side of the spectrum. Everything must be intentional. Every friend, every conversation, every movement, every feeling. Healing is freedom, you guys.
Yes.
This is what we're talking about. And thank you again, Dr. Erie Crawford. Listen, I want you to look into that camera. Give us 3 or 4 nuggets as to what they can do. You done told us 1,000 things, but in addition to it, let's say they didn't hear you. Can you reiterate some things that if someone out there is dealing with grief right now, what can they start doing today? Just today.
Grief is an experience that you have on your own. You and your family may have experienced the exact same loss, but the way that it affects you is going to be totally different. You have to focus on yourself and the work that you need to do within. Grief is one day at a time. It's just like the AA meetings, is one day at a time that you have to take the time to work on you. Counseling is something that everyone should consider when you lose a loved one. And not just a loved one, when you lose a job, when you lose a divorce, counseling is something that can help you manage the grief that comes up behind major losses. So counseling, self-care, we must take care of ourselves. We must have good sleeping habits. We must eat well because believe it or not, if you're not sleeping well and eating well, that also have an effect on your mental health and your well-being. You must pay attention to yourself from the inside out. And then you must journal it because sitting in counseling all the time, it's not going to give you the exact answers that you may be looking for. But in journaling, you get to put on those pages what you're thinking, what you're feeling. I have a whole section in my book, The Other Side of Midnight, where it gives you the steps that you need to do to journal if journaling is not something that you feel comfortable with. And so knowing that grief is an individual process, that we go through it on our own. You can't expect anyone in your life to be where you're at in your grief because we're all affected differently by things that happen. And so learn to be patient with one another as you're going through these different these journeys of grief, to know that this person is not me, and the way that they may handle it, I may handle it. In the way that I handle it, they may not handle it the same as I do. So take care of yourself. That's number one. Take care of yourself. Self-care is important when you're trying to manage loss.
If grief had a voice, what would it say to you? What would that voice, if grief had a voice, what do you think it would say to you now?
To me?
Yeah. What phrase? Just give me a phrase. Because I know it's like, dang, I ain't got her. She free now.
Grief will say to me, you did that, girl. Now, you listen to that soft voice of the Lord as he was talking to you. You let him lead you through this process and not allow me to take full control of your life. You allowed what you believe in, your heavenly Father, your Savior, to guide you through this process. And I just wish so many more of your brothers and sisters can learn how to listen to Him versus allow me to take control over their lives.
You know what? I was going to end with a poem, but I like that. Thank you for being a part of Healing is Freedom podcast. I am your host, Vanita Queen Abrams. Please like, subscribe, and share, especially if you know someone who have lost a loved one and cannot get through it. Dr. Erie Crawford, you can contact me if you don't have. Can you give them some of your information? She is a social worker. She can talk to you. So thank you so very much. The last voice you will hear is Dr. Erie Crawford giving her information. If you don't mind.
Oh yeah.
And have a great day. Bye.
You can go to my website, eriescrawfordphd.org, and you can request me through my website. You can also purchase my book to help you to start your process, and it also have my contact information. I'm on LinkedIn as doc.esc, so you can look me up on LinkedIn. That's my Instagram, doc.esc. So you can look me up on Instagram. I do post about my journey and my healing and putting my interviews out there to share the importance of talking about our experience of losing a loved one to suicide and how to move forward from such a tragic situation. So, so reach out to me in those ways.
Thank you.
Oh, and you can buy my book on Amazon. You can buy the book on Amazon as well as Barnes and Nobles.
Thank you. Have a great day.